Namaste and good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to you, Dr. Yagnik from the United States. Welcome everyone to this forum on exploring the theme concentration and progress. And as part of Renaissance Journal's webinar series, we welcome you all. And so what some of you already are aware of this. For some of you, it's probably a little, new information. So every month at Renaissance Journal, we take a theme, and which is part of a year-long actually series that we do. So we've started on with a new series called Streams of Sadhana. So various ways in which individuals pursue the path of sadhana. It could be a spiritual sadhana, but as Sri Aurobindo says, all life is yoga. It could be in any way in which somebody is putting a concentrated effort, which can be called as sadhana, both at individual and collective levels. So we started off this series with the very specific topic of concentration and focus. And as some of you might have already seen our issue that was released on September 21st, in that issue, we are exploring this concentration from a variety of perspectives. Certainly concentration, its role in spiritual sadhana, concentration for education, intellectual development, concentration at work, concentration, how to develop concentration and focus in various ways, and also a little bit of the scientific, understanding of that. So at some point, maybe I'll put in the chat box our link to the journal for those of you who would be interested in exploring the various offerings in the journal this time on this theme. But so as part of this exploration, we thought it would be nice to have some sort of an interactive session and hear from experts from a variety of fields working in diverse areas and explore the topic a little bit further, maybe in a question-answer interactive format, but also giving you an opportunity to share some of your understanding, how you work with this theme of concentration in your area. So we have been fortunate in bringing together sort of quite an array of speakers from diverse backgrounds, and my colleague Narendra Ji will be introducing them as we go along for the next couple of hours. But before we do that, let me just welcome everyone. Dr. Arpan Yagnik from the US, from Pennsylvania, Dr. Shraddha from Madhya Pradesh, Raamkumar, our own from Auroville. He's part of Renaissance team, but he's been exploring this theme of concentration for the last couple of years in a very intense way. So we'll hear more about that. And Monica and Raie from Delhi, Gurgaon, I would say NCR. So very good to have you with us. And all other participants, I see Ravi Ji is here, Shailesh, and I don't know your names, I think Parashar, you said. And also Unithan is there and somebody else is there. Vijayata, she's also part of our volunteer teams. And Biswajita, of course, she's very much a part of Renaissance. So anything anybody needs, Biswajita is the go-to person. So she has, information on everything that we do at Renaissance. So really happy to be with you all and start off this session. So I would like to invite now Narendra Ji to introduce our first speaker for this evening. And that would be, I guess, Arpan Ji. So please give us a little background of Dr. Arpan Yagnik, and then we'll invite Arpan Ji to take over for the next 15 minutes or so. So I guess that's the flow we will have. So each speaker will share their thoughts for 15 minutes. And I would request others to keep themselves on mute for that time. And then maybe if there is a need, we can have one or two quick comment or a question, and then we'll move on to the next speaker. So, okay, so I think that's pretty much, okay, I see Rishabh is also joining. He's also one of our regular members. So Narendra Ji, Please carry on.
Hello, I'm Narendra. Am I audible? Yeah, okay. So I'm Narendra. I'm working as a Renaissance team member and as a volunteer for sriaurobindosociety. So I would introduce Dr. Arpan Yagnik. He's our first speaker. Dr. Yagnik is a creative expert whose personal motto is action inspired by creativity. He is a professor at the Penn State University, USA, and he's an author of 2 books and a TEDx speaker. He has published numerous peer-reviewed journal articles and book chapters in international publications. He has been recognized with several awards for his all-round excellence and outstanding achievements, including the prestigious President's Award for Distinguished Service. He also serves as the coordinator of the Center for Creativity Enhancement, Manipal University, India. He holds the distinct honor of serving as a commissioner of the Pennsylvania Governor's Advisory Commission for Asia and Pacific Islander Affairs. He is currently serving on the Erie Mayor's New American Council. He also convenes and chairs the Global Youth Team for Initiatives of Change, IOFC, which does work in 60 countries. So over to you, Dr. Yagnik.
I may just intervene just for a minute before Arpan you start. I wanted to tell everyone something on behalf of Monica and Raie. They will be doing a little experiential session also with us. So if you can have a paper pen or pencil and a coin handy. So I have the advantage that they told me a little before the session. So I have my coin and my paper and pen here. So they'll be doing a little experiential session. So just have that handy with you before their session. So Arpan, over to you, please.
Thank you. I will need to go and run and get my coin because I don't have one.
Okay, so maybe you can go ahead and start now, and then after your session, after your talk, you can go. I should also mention, I think Arpanji, you will be concentrating more on concentration at workplace, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So thank you so much. Lots of regards to all the elders that are here, and love to the younger ones that might be present over here. When I started thinking about concentration, one of the first, and preparing for this little time, one of the first things that occurred to me was that was the Big Bang concentrated? Big Bang is this massive moment where everything sort of started, the matter, the transformation of gas into matter and moving around and going in all directions. So was the Big Bang concentrated? That was the first line of inquiry, and it continues to remain one because I don't have an answer to it, but it is something for us to keep with us as we go through this journey of concentration and progress. I want to start by sharing with you an experiment that I did in my classroom. So I had about 25 students in my class, and I asked them that you have about 5 minutes and you have to draw a giraffe. And in those 5 minutes, you have to accomplish 2 things. One is that you have to draw a giraffe, and 2, you have to make sure that it has 30 patches, because giraffes have those patches on their body. And they started doing the process. They drew the giraffe and 30 patches. After 5 minutes, what they accomplished was that so many animals that were extinct, they came to life through their drawings, because we had never seen such animals walk on the planet, neither do such giraffes ever exist. And I asked them that, how was the process? Did your hand need to have any effort? Did your mind take any effort while doing so? They're like, no, it was smooth. Of course, we were not able to create something like a giraffe, but it was fine. It was not problematic. Then I said, again, you have 5 minutes, but this time you're going to draw a giraffe with your non-dominant hand, which is like, if you are a right-handed person, then you draw it with your left hand. And if you're a left-handed person, you draw it with your right hand. And you have 5 minutes, and again, 30 patches. So then they started to do it, and you could see the struggle on their face, that they were trying to, send as strong signals as possible to their left hand. And then after the end of culmination of 5 minutes, they were like, we were not able to draw anything straight. Everything started becoming round, and this started getting us frustrated. I said, wonderful. Then I again asked them to draw a giraffe. But this time, they were supposed to hum. The entire duration of 5 minutes, they were supposed to hum anything that they wanted to, and then draw the giraffe. Again, after 5 minutes, I said, tell us, like, Professor, I don't know how, but I lost my ability to count. I couldn't count till 30. The other person said, no, it actually helped me, zone out everything that was around me, and I was able to focus better. Interesting. Then I again asked them that you have to draw a giraffe, again with 30 patches. But this time, you have to do 2 other things as you do that. One, you have to sing any song and stomp your legs as we do in the march past. This time, again, they're like, oh, we completely forgot that we only had 3 legs. Oh, we forgot 1 ear. We completely forgot that there was a tail. Oh, and I don't even know how many patches were there, but probably 10 or 20. It's interesting. Then for the 5th time, I asked them to draw a giraffe. But this time, I asked them to take a pen or pencil and put it at one point on the paper. And I said, put it there and don't move it. And then I asked them to to close their eyes, and then I turned off the lights. I said, now draw the giraffe. Of course, they ended up doing something, but all the patches were outside of the giraffe. They were not on the giraffe. So why am I sharing this? This was a very interesting exploration in understanding concentration. After the first exercise, when they drew with their left hand, I asked them the question that, do you think that your brain is more connected with your right hand than it is to your left hand? And they were like, no, how is that possible? Our brain is equally connected to both our hands. But maybe it is about our muscles. Then I said, do you know that when you are humming, you lose the ability to count numbers or something else? Like, no, that has not happened, but this is very strange. So concentration is something which has been this elusive unicorn, which many and most of us have tried to, go near to, make it a part of our lives, but it continues to evade us. And as we go through our work, now, work is a big portion of our life, and work is something from where you get a sense of identity, a sense of purpose, a sense of growth and progress. All of this, surprisingly and suddenly, and in some ways, unfortunately, we get this from the work that we do. So how do you concentrate? Why do we need to concentrate? These were the things that I asked them to think about. One of the biggest learnings for me is that we are not very good at making friends with failure. When we are trying to develop our ability to apply concentration, we have the innate ability to concentrate, but to apply it is where we sort of, and this is the distinction that I make, that it is the application where we lag behind. So in the application of the concentration, do we have enough ability to make friends and be friends with failure? Because while doing this, failure is a given. We are all going to meet with failure much more often than anything else when we try to concentrate. Concentration is like telling a little puppy to quietly sit in one place. There are different ways, different abilities. Some people, when they work with their body, they are able to do the splits very well, but they cannot bend their body. Some people are able to bend their body or jump higher, but not do the splits. Similarly, with the mind, the brain as well, it is vital that we first comprehend what our strengths are before trying to go and create that Big Bang moment. The Big Bang is the Big Bang concentrated? I always keep wondering. Let's not go too far, but just come to our planet Earth. The Amazon jungles, the most vibrant of the places, thriving with life. Is there concentration in the Amazon jungle? I will find concentration, 20 miles away from here, where I see the cornfields in Ohio, or on the New York sides, all the vineyards. There is a concentrated effort to grow something, and it does grow. And then on the other hand, there is the Amazon jungle. So the plantation versus the jungle. What scenario do you thrive better? This is something that is most important if we want to progress. So if we are looking at concentration as a means to progress in our workplace, then it is important that we understand our abilities, inabilities, our penchants, our flares, and then take it further. One of the things that, as far as progress and concentration comes to mind, when you accept a guru in the traditional lineage, that guru gives you a mantra. And this mantra could be a word, could be a small, phrase with 2 or 3 words, it could be anything. It's never written down, it's just passed through the years. But this is given so that one develops attachment to it. That is the lens that has been given through which you see the entire world and the cosmos from there on. So it is that attachment to that one entity which gives you the concentration. And when you concentrate something, what happens is that either some energy is generated, some force is created, and for us also there is some force and energy generated when we concentrate our being, ourselves. But most of the times we give up too quickly. There is something called reactance. Reactance is the brain and the mind's chemical defense against things that it does not want to do. So as soon as we start to concentrate on one thing, of course, there's lots of things that are always there, but they suddenly come to surface, and there is a minor change in the chemical constitution, which makes us frustrated, agitated, irritated, or even the feelings of incompetence, they come to surface. And this is the reason why we stop. This is the reason why we don't go beyond a journey. So in the workplace, when we are unable to do a task, I often give my students certain tasks, and when they are not able to do that, they get frustrated, they get agitated, and they stop. The brain wants to protect itself, so what it does is that it tells them that this is a boring subject, this is a useless topic, this is, never going to be used in your real life. And then it creates this aura of rejection and sort of indifference that you don't even want to go close to that entity. This is what needs to be actually fought for the sake of progress. So concentration is part of the journey, but if we are seeking progress, be it spiritual, be it professional, be it personal, then it is the reactance against the concentration that needs to be understood better. And also the reason why I bring up the Big Bang and the Amazon is that once the energy or once you are able to concentrate, the outcome is 360 degree and in multiple dimensions. It is never restricted to one particular area. Yes, we may make explicit efforts to channelize it in one particular, but again, that is, at least in my humble opinion, not something natural. So the concentration, it allows you to expand in 360 degree and in multiple dimensions, is something that needs to be kept in mind all the time. So I am coming towards the close and end of my 15 minutes. So I just want to quickly sort of summarize and then leave something for us to think as we go through this journey. We always remember the feeling of frustration and failure after trying or having tried to concentrate. But we as individual entities seldom, and to some degree with great assurance I can say, we never remember the enthusiasm and the motivation with which we started to indulge ourselves in concentrating. There is a very vivid difference in the chemical constitution of our brain when both these things happen. I, as you go through this journey, want you to remember and think of the time when you decided to start trying to concentrate and focus. The chemical constitution, what was that? Not just to remember what happened later when you failed or you succeeded, but the reason why you started. Because that is the actual thing that is going to keep you going and is going to keep you on track towards the task, the goal, the aim for the profession, for the life, or for spiritual enlightenment. So I started with the Big Bang, and I again end with Big Bang. The question is that how can we understand the Big Bang, when everything started coming into being from the point and lens and of concentration? Is what if Big Bang were concentrated? How would it change? So it's an alternate line of thinking that I want you to take towards, and it's a meandering path. It's an exploration. So I'm assuming and I'm hoping that it will be a lot of fun, because it has been tremendously fun for me since the time that I've been told that I need to speak about this. So once again, thank you to everyone who has put this together, and thank you again to everyone that has taken the time to be here and for your presence and participation. I look forward to more Q&A at some point, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you've given us a couple of mantras yourself to focus on. Remember the enthusiasm. I think that's one of the key points, because it has the potential to get us back to the goal, to the aim with which we start any work, anything. So to remember that. But I wonder if there's any quick comment or a quick question for Arpanji at this point from any of our participants or any of the other co-panelists. Just a quick short question, because we'll have some time at the end for some Q&A. But if there's anything quick. Okay. I think you have given everyone quite a bit to think about. So I'm sure they are reflecting a little bit on Big Bang and everything. But yeah, I particularly felt that remembering the enthusiasm and being aware of the reactants of the brain, the reactants of the mind, that was very good. Okay, there is somebody who has a question. Yes.
Bala, I am Bala here.
Yes, yes, Bala, please go ahead.
My name is not showing.
Okay.
So, generally, the common problem that people face, that they say, is that external factors disturb your concentration. That if there is sound outside or something like, there's five senses one when we are working and all that. But is it not that if we are concentrating, if your concentration goes to our perfection level, the external factors should not matter, as we read in Sri Aurobindo, that even amid the most sound or everywhere, you should be able to meditate. So anything that you would throw in your next questions and all on this topic. External factors that you are not under control. That's what.
Thank you.
It's a very common question. 99% people complain of that only, isn't it? Today, I'm not able to concentrate on my work, office work, or painting, or music, or anything. How to be, which is not under your own control. The external factors, suppose in India, even outside also, suppose there is a sound outside, there's some riots going on, something. So how is it that you become defensive to the external factors and improve your system of concentration? If you can handle it in the general that point, external factors.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, yes. Arpan, do you want to take it up now, or you want to? It's up to you.
It's a more generalized thing. So I've made a note of it, and we'll come back to it.
Okay. But I think in a way you alluded to this fact that to become aware of in which environment you thrive better. So if concentration is also like a journey, it's a progressive thing. It will not be that right from day one when you are trying to consciously become more concentrated in your approach that it will happen. So to be aware of the environment is also interesting point you raised.
Yes, and see the externalities. It happens so many times when actually people are they call out to you, they call out your name, you still don't listen to them. There is so much going on, the bell is constantly ringing, but you still don't listen to it. And it's not that you were meditating at that point of time. No, but that is because you were concentrated on something else. And so our systems have this innate ability to block out certain things, because otherwise it is very hard to respond to each and every stimuli. And there are individuals who actually cannot block some of those things, and they really have a hard time navigating the society the way it has been structured. So we have this ability to block out some of those things, and probably that level of perfection is also not needed, because we see some of the examples of it in our day-to-day life without that perfection, or if you refer to those moments as those moments of meditative perfection. But then at the same time, what I feel is lacking is the vairagya aspect of it, where we like certain things and we don't like certain things. So the things that end up bothering are because we have some form of dvesh or some form of rag towards that, and that is why it is our internal mechanism and training that makes us react to those, and we end up listening to those, and then instead of concentrating on what we were supposed to, we end up concentrating on the thing outside. And some of it also comes from evolutionary biology, but we don't want to mix those things over here. So concentration is happening in those instances, but it is just not happening on what you desire at that moment, that you want to concentrate on X, but you end up concentrating on Y and Z and so many other things. So again, that understanding our own likes and dislikes, our own rag and dvesh, and then nullifying them, reaching a level of neutrality where I have reconditioned my mind that I'm not going to be attracted or distracted by some of these things, is slow and sure way to work towards those things. So again, the mirror has to be turned inwards. And I don't want to take too much time over here, but I hope this generally gives a sense of understanding and further can be explored later. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. And thank you for very meaningful response. And I think it's a good segue to go into our next speaker, Dr. Shraddha, because, you know, you kind of really brought us to this point of looking at concentration as yoga, and integral education itself kind of comes from this integral yoga perspective. So to talk a little bit about concentration and how to encourage and teach kids to practice this art of concentration right from childhood, we have Dr. Shraddha Gour Mohanti with us. So Narendra ji, if you can kindly just read out a little bit about her background. And I see Shraddha is there already. So we'll,
Dr. Shraddha Gour Mohanti was drawn to the writings of Sri Aurobindo and the mother since childhood. Dr. Mohanti is currently working as the principal of a reputed school in Indore and also serves as General Secretary of Sri Aurobindo Society branch in Khandwa, MP. Her areas of interest include Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, poetry, and educational thought. She has written for New Race, Renaissance, and other journals in Sri Aurobindo's studies. Over to you, Dr. Mohanti.
Good evening. I hope I am audible. Yeah. So here I am here to talk about concentration as a habit to be inculcated in kids since childhood. First, there is a change in my profile. Actually, nowadays I am working as the academic coordinator in an educational institution. Instead of previously, I used to work as the principal, and presently I am the academic coordinator, and I am handling the classes, all the classes, and looking into the academic part. So my journey with concentration started from the time when I was studying in class 10th. So first of all, I have divided my lecture into two parts. I will be first of all talking about my observations into the field of concentration, and then what conclusions which I have drawn from it. So when I was in class 10th, I started reading the literature which was available at home, and I got a lot of books of Sri Aurobindo and the mother at my home, and I started reading about concentration and different topics. So somewhere mother has written that if you concentrate enough, in a conversation with one of the students, she says that if you concentrate enough, the work of 1 hour can be completed in 10 minutes. So this was the thing that fascinated me a lot. And I felt, oh, I can find time for so many activities if I could complete the work of 1 hour in 10 minutes. And I started trying to concentrate, but it was not easy at all at that time. And now when I started teaching in the school, when I came in contact with the students of all age groups, I still find the same thing, that concentration, this word, we use it very casually. We use it as if it is a concept, as if it carries a meaning. Please concentrate on your work. This is what we tell to our students. Pay attention to what you say, what you are doing. So we even don't differentiate between attention and concentration. And generally in the class, it goes on. But this particular word concentration always goes on in the literal sense as a concept, but it is never practiced. It is never included as a part of our curriculum. And then when this new education policy came, and I read the national curriculum of this educational framework for foundational years, there they have mentioned that about Sri Aurobindo and what he says about concentration. So it is also mentioned as if it's a theory. But when we work with the students of all age groups, specifically the students who belong to pre-primary years, primary years, or the middle age group, it becomes very difficult to give them any kind of theory, be it a subject or anything teaching. And if we say concentrate, they don't understand what is concentration. They just sit mum. They start sitting quietly, but they don't know what is concentration. That is why it becomes the need of the hour that concentration should be included as a part of the curriculum. As teachers, we plan our lecture. We have our lesson planning. So I feel that the lesson plan should be made in such a manner that in each and every subject or topic which the teachers are teaching, they should include certain practices which help the students to concentrate in a better manner. I would like to share my screen here. I am also connected with the same name. So I'm sharing my screen. If you can see, is it visible?
Your desktop is visible. Yes.
Yeah, desktop, and then maybe it will take a few seconds.
Yeah.
And
I can see it. I don't know, Narendra ji or Viswajita or Ram, if any of you can just unmute and let know.
Yeah,
Yes,
I can
yes.
see it. Yeah, we can see.
Okay.
We
yeah,
can
it
see.
is from another name, but then
Yeah, it's visible. Please go ahead, Shraddha, please.
so, but then I'm not getting one of the options here to start from the first slide. So is my slide visible?
You are still on the first one.
Yeah,
You wanna go
actually,
to the next one.
just a minute. I'm not getting that option to.
Okay,
Okay, fine.
you.
So can you see the second slide?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, focus is the starting point of concentration. This is what I feel. And it is actually gathering all energies together. So I will give an example that I ask the students to read something because my subject is English literature. So I ask them to read something. Now, when they are reading, it becomes difficult for them to understand. Suppose they read a certain paragraph and I ask them, what is the meaning? What have you? So I was talking about concentration is basically for students. It's like when we teach them, we say that focus your attention or bring your attention towards what you're doing or you do your work. But when they are trying to do that work, even as teacher, I feel that it becomes difficult for us to concentrate on what we are doing. So it is equally difficult for the students. And then I also read about that about the 5 koshas, the Panch koshas, which was again mentioned in this national this curriculum framework for foundational years. And it says that the teacher should work upon these Panch koshas of the students. Now, Panch koshas, we all know that it is from our Indian culture, and it includes the Annamaya kosh, Pranamaya kosh, Manomaya kosh, Vigyanmaya kosh, and Anandmaya kosh. So when we, now how should we work with these koshas? So I thought that what we can do is we can make the students realize that they have different parts of their being which exist in them. So I started doing a small practice. I told them that you can just feel your skin. And the students were of primary years, like they were till class 3rd, 4th. So they started feeling their skin. How does it feel like? Whether it is the feel is soft or it's hard or it is cold or it's a bit warm. And then slowly I told that you have a magic wand in your hand. It's kind of a magic stick. And if you want, you can move that magic stick wherever you want. So this was something interesting for them. And what they did, I told that, okay, you just focus upon your eyes or maybe any part of the body or maybe your nose, focus upon your ear. So they started listening to all kind of sounds. Then I told, okay, close your ears, don't listen. Don't close it with your hands, but close your ears. Don't listen. Now see, and I must tell one thing here, that students, they have the maximum dispersion of thoughts. In a second, like butterflies, their thoughts scatter here and there. But on the other hand, they are the one who have the maximum quality, this power of focusing their attention towards one thing if we teach them how to do it. That is the conclusion which I have drawn. So I told, okay, now don't listen to anything. Just you can just feel something. So they felt, okay, ma'am, we are feeling this, we are feeling that. Then I started asking questions. For example, when somebody scolds you, how do you feel? So they were having different answers. When you feel this, do you answer? Do you feel sad? Do you cry? Then some of them were telling we feel pain here in our throat. Some of them were telling we feel like a choking sensation. Then I told, okay, then what do you do? Then do you answer back? And that conversation goes on. Then I told, okay, if you want, you let me know that these thoughts of answering back or these sadness, where is it coming from? So directly, naturally, their hand went to their heart and they told it is coming from here. Now for the children who are of like students of classes till 3rd, it is very difficult for them to understand, okay, something is here, but they told this pain is coming from here. And then I told them, okay, think with your mind, start thinking. If you answer back, if you get angry, is it good or is it bad? So they were able to answer, no, it's not good. If we answer back, it's not a good quality or something like that. So this is kind of, they were thinking, whether they are thinking this, we know as a theory that maybe the vital was involved and they were having all sorts of emotions. Then their mind came into practice and they realized that this is good and this is bad. Then they started judging with their intellect and they found, okay, I am an individual, this ego self, this comes with growing age. So they were able to judge, okay, this is me, I am an individual, I should not be insulted by anyone. And if I am insulted, I will answer back. So I told, okay, even if you're an individual, you have to do like, and then this conversation went on. So my conclusion, which I drew was that if we tell the students to focus on different, parts of the being, instead of telling them about the concept, they will be able to do that. They will be able to judge this thing that, okay, this is how I should think. This is how I feel. This is how I feel when I am filled with emotions. But when I use my mind, I start thinking in a different manner. So this kind of concentration is actually, it leads to less dispersion of thoughts because they are focused. And it is a very understood kind of fact that we always love what we do, and we love doing what we like. So if we are into something, if we like something, nobody in the world can, waver our attention. For example, I used to read a lot of books, and when I was reading the novels, all the books apart from my course books, nobody could disturb me. I was very happy. But as soon as I switched to my course books, all sort of dispersion and distractions, they started. Maybe same is the case with the students. So here comes the job of the educators to make them love their subject, to evoke this love of learning in them, this love of progress. So what I did, I thought that, okay, let us do this kind of experiment, and all the students were told, okay, when after it needed not more than 5 minutes while the teachers are taking attendance, they asked the students, okay, you do one thing, you write your intention for the day, what you are going to do today. So they used to write something, maybe I will complete my work, I will do this, I will learn 4 questions or whatever. Then I told them, okay, now at the end of the day, when you are about to leave, were you able to fulfill your intention? In the same manner, the students can be taken from this setting the intention of the day to setting the intention of the year to setting the goal of life. Because if we have one goal in front of them, if we have an aim, something which we love to do, if we want to fulfill that aim, then the concentration comes naturally. If we have liking towards knowledge, if the students, they want to know something, in-depth knowledge, then the concentration comes naturally. Instead of providing them each and everything, if they are left towards certain question, and so that they can reason among themselves, they can find the answers, to seek the answer to those questions, the concentration comes naturally, because it comes when they do such kind of task which they love. So this also leads to accomplishing the task on time. We can also call that this also leads to their learning the time management. Now, when working with the students of say different age groups, for example, classes 8, 9, 10th onwards, at that time, the approach which works with them is the scaffolding approach. Scaffolding basically means the gradual release of responsibility. And it includes like the teacher says that I will do this practice along with you. Then afterwards, first I will teach you how to do this certain thing. Then I will practice along with you. And then you do on your own. This is kind of gradual release of responsibility. And there are different kind of inner and outer concentration exercises. Now, outer concentration is when we are not perturbed by all the sounds, all the noises, all the distractions, because in a class of say 35 to 40 students, distractions are very common. We cannot avoid it. But if they are taught not to be perturbed by the distractions, instead only focus on your work, bring in the inner concentration, focus your thoughts and energies to something, we can have certain practices. For example, one practice which I started, I asked the students to call their own name silently. If they love a name, some people, students of this age group, if they have faith upon God or some kind of deity or someone, they can chant that name or they can call their own name. But they have to put their full focus upon chanting their own name. And the time limit was set for them, say 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, I asked them, now, what did you feel? When you were chanting your name, what all things happened? What thoughts came in your mind? Write it down. If they are of that age group, if they can write also, write it down. Pen down your thoughts. So they themselves were able to realize what is going on with them and how to tackle it. So problem and solution. They were the ones who found it. I did nothing. In the same manner, if I asked them, okay, stare at your friend, look at your friend. And then after some time, some of them, they start laughing. Some of them, they were having funny thoughts in their mind. One of them told, I thought that he has, he has something or horn on his head or something like that. So these all are the things. But ultimately, I say, okay, now look at your friend. Only look at your friend. Don't look at anything near. So this is also one of these all are very simple things. For example, if they are drawing, I ask them to, okay, draw a design in color and focus only on that. Or for example, when they are having their meals, chew each morsel and feel that you are chewing the morsel instead of seeing what all things are going on around you. These are very simple practices.
Did we lose a link?
And if we ourselves, is there anything? Am I audible?
Yes. No, Narendra, Narendra, we are okay with the link. You can still, you're still with us?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. Then we can also have some kind of, breathing practices or counting backwards, or they can also, any word they can choose and they can read that word backwards. So these all are simple exercises which can be used with the students so as to teach them how to concentrate upon something. Now, there is one theory which we all know, that when we have a lot of thoughts in our mind, some thoughts are positive, some are negative, maybe some thoughts we feel necessary and some are unnecessary. And it is a kind of, all thoughts come together in our mind and they create a lot of mess. Similar thing happens with the students when they have many things in their mind. Now, here it becomes difficult for them. There are a lot of open loops in their mind. At a time, they have so many things. So it becomes the responsibility of the educators, what I feel, to close that open loops. Now, to close that open loops, only one thing is there that works, and that is sharing. When they share what they are feeling, when they write down what they are feeling, when they speak of what they are feeling in a little conversation session in the class, all those open loops are closed and they are able to focus on the work that is in front of them. So ultimately, the intention should be to teach them how to develop this power of concentration in you to such an extent that you are not a slave of distraction. Instead, when you want, you can concentrate upon a task which is in front of you without being disturbed by anything which comes in front of you. But the thing is, it cannot be taught as a concept. It cannot be taught as a theory. It has to be practiced with lot of artistic styles, experimentation, connecting it with the topic which we are teaching, making them understand that they are made for something big. They have to set a certain goal for their lives. They should have this love of learning. If they want, they can have this peace in themselves. If they call peace, now this is very simple. Even the mother has also told this, that if you want peace, just call peace, 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 peace. Keep on calling, and the peace will come. Now, as a student of class 10th, it happened with me. I started practicing it, and believe me, it comes. It comes. And if students practice, the same thing happens. In the classroom, if we set the atmosphere by just telling them, okay, call peace, or sometimes chant Om, Omkar, or it's up to the teacher, up to the educator, or up to the students. So it happens, the atmosphere totally changes. So the mindset, the intention set by the educator, the teacher, and the taught brings the change. And this is how we can teach them how to focus, how to concentrate, how to be a lifelong learner, and how to gather all your energies at a single place. So these are only the few things which I tried with my students. But I again would like to stress upon this point, that this concentration should become a part of the school curriculum, and all the teachers, all the educators should teach this to their students, so that they will be benefited by it in the long run. So this is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shraddha. Thank you so much. And just as a note for some of our participants, we also have an article in this issue by Dr. Shraddha on expanding on some of the points that she raised with specific examples. So I encourage you to look that up also. And I'll put the links to the our journal and Dr. Shraddha's article in the chat box just in a minute. So I think you again bring us to a very interesting segue to our next set of speakers, Monica and Raie, because you brought up the example of drawing and using artistic work to build concentration. So that's the theme for our next two speakers, Monica and Raie. They'll be joining us from Delhi NCR. So Narendra ji, if you can briefly introduce both of them, and then whoever would like to begin with. So they'll be talking about using art to develop concentration based upon the work that they do in their YogArt foundation, I guess.
Yes, Baluji, thank you.
Yeah, Egle J. Raie Dey. I hope I've got the pronunciation right. Lithuanian by birth, Raie had been living in India since 2004. She has been exposed to art since the age of 10 and has more than 30 years of experience creating a variety of art forms, including traditional Indian arts. She has received her degree from London Metropolitan University and has been teaching art to children besides running an interior design academy for the past 11 years in India. Inspired by the teachings of the mother and Sri Aurobindo, she has attended courses at the Delhi ashram. That was about Raie. And about the other speaker, Monica Chand. Monica Chand is certified in Hathayoga and therapy from Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram, KYM. She has also attended several workshops and courses in integral yoga from Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Delhi branch. She has taught Hatha Yoga both nationally and internationally for more than 2 decades. For the last few years, she has also been exploring art as a yogic discipline with a special emphasis on indigenous art forms of India. So over to both of you, whoever would like to speak first.
So good evening to everyone. It's been interesting listening to the speakers before us. And we've also got a few more points. So we'll actually just move between the two of us, hopefully seamlessly this evening. So just introducing, so he's already introduced us. We will just introduce YogArt, which is actually a combination of yoga and art, which we call doing yoga through art and art through yoga. And here again, we are referring to yoga not just as the physical practices or the Hathayogic discipline, but yoga as a spiritual practice. And we are both exposed to, and we are both actually practitioners of integral yoga. So that is our backbone and that is our background. And as far as the spiritual practice goes, that's basically going to form the basis of our talk this evening, our practice, as well as the backbone of YogArt.
So this concept has started during lockdown. My daughter was suffering from the grief of losing a family member, and she stopped being active at all. And I reached out to Monica. At that time, she was reaching out to me for the art advice because she was into art that time a lot. And I was asking her what to do with the children who, my daughter, on the other hand, had a lot of concentration, but her concentration was on drawings and she was just closed and she had a lot of grief. She was dealing with grief and I did not know, all the family was dealing with grief and we did not know how to move out from it. So then I reached out what to do and we started with mantras, and from mantras we moved on to some physical exercise, and then Monica's children was struggling with art.
So actually, just to give you a background, both our children study in Mirambika. She has a daughter who's 8.5 years old, and I have two daughters. One is 8.5 and the other is 12.5. So during lockdown, which was a difficult time for everyone, we were struggling with what to do with children at home. Her daughter was struggling with grief, and my children were basically struggling with, even though they were exposed to art, they were somehow not into art, and they were doing it just as a chore, but not really engaging with it as a medium of exploration or self-discovery or as an expression of beauty or joy. So we both decided to do some Zoom sessions, and we clubbed together whatever strengths we had primarily. And after a few Zoom sessions, we discovered, not only for ourselves, but for the children, that her daughter completely came out of grief and she started becoming physically active. And both my daughters, who were not exposed to art much, they started enjoying art exploration, and we realized that their creativity, their concentration, their focus was way better than ever that we had experienced as parents, as well as bystanders.
Yeah.
And even for both of us, my practice into art and exploration started. I had always believed that I was not an artist, that I can never do art. And suddenly I discovered that I do have it in me, and I started coming up with unusual stuff. And same
also,
for Raie.
And also unusual, I would say, unusual perspectives. The art changes perspective. Same thing with mime. I had a practice of yoga. I've been exposed to yoga for many years, but it just deepened. I started feeling the joy, suddenly the delight, and I was doing art, but there was some more alignment. There was something totally new that was coming out. So that's what happened. So,
and then we did start meeting, and of course at this point of time it was just exploring and practicing and experimenting, and we had not come up with any formal concept or anything. But we had been meeting and discussing, and suddenly, in fact, on Mother's birthday, 21st of February 2020, suddenly we were sitting together and we said, oh, this can actually be done together, and this is something which covers, it's a most holistic practice, because we are like speakers before had said, that the moment you engage every part of yourself, concentration is actually a natural consequence of that. So the moment the body is worked, the body is aligned. The moment the energies are aligned and not dispersed, and your mind automatically becomes calm. And when all the three are aligned, then you find yourself to be in this state, which is that state of calm or peace, where you can invoke then a higher force to come into you and express it through art. So that became, and then we started formalizing it into what we would call into a formal practice, which we can start putting into practice with actually people. And we wanted to also experiment with, can we actually do this without going too much into theory and explore various facets of a yogic practice, some concepts which are very difficult for children to understand, but put in a manner which is very easy for them. So that's where our experimentation started, and we started with a group of actually adults, and then we started moving to schools, and we worked with adults and children both now. And over the last 1.5 years, we've had a large number of people that we have put yoga and art into practice with. And of course, it's still refining, but we do have a formal framework that we work with. And we keep refining that, of course, as we evolve and as the practice also evolves and as we put in. Like recently, we are trying to explore that into therapy, how we can actually use it as a therapeutic practice for specific problems that are faced by children as well as adults.
Especially with the concentration part, what we notice that when we expose them to different, not everyone is good at one part of art. Maybe somebody is not good at drawing, and or they think they are not good at drawing, and it's difficult to start. But if you give them 3D material, like we do lipam art, we especially focus on indigenous art, bringing up to them indigenous art forms. And as soon as we give anything 3D to work with, immediately those children who are really difficult, or even adults who thinks that they can't do at all, suddenly there's new concentration and new delight that comes out. And everyone will share the video very soon. Hopefully we can see that we find that adults who have never touched metal, who has never touched pliers in their life, and they are we are just teaching them simple things, and they end up having earrings and all decked up by the time the class is over. So we found a lot of new things coming up, and they say that they forgot their age, they are singing, they are humming, all this newfound joy suddenly comes up in that, in that delight, that spark. And from the people who are normally very serious or having even very serious roles to play, but they are suddenly forget their age, and for the true playfulness, the spontaneous joy suddenly comes out. So that is I think the trick is, from my experience, is having different materials, and different mediums to try with. It could be just recycled materials, or in some cases where we had no sponsors, and we just did for some children where we have less funds. So suddenly we give them dark paper and one pencil only, white pencil, and the most beautiful design has come up. That is another trick, I would say, which brings out a lot of concentration and focus. As soon as we remove colors and we are left with 1 or 2 colors, they suddenly, everyone becomes very sad. But at the same time, once they start drawing those lines, a lot of focus and a lot of new discoveries start up. And then you find their delight. As soon as they finish, they can't believe what they could do that.
So again, adding in fact to something which everyone has also mentioned in the past, that when you want to use all the elements that we have available to us. So for us, the body, and Mother and Shri Aurobindo have placed an enormous importance on the physical with respect to the future evolution. So you work on the body in a manner which which is not only enjoyable, but also it works the body. It is not just a fun thing, but the body works. So the energy is balanced, and the emotions, we bring the emotions in balance, the mind, and we use all tools that we have available to us. So the 5 senses, we use sound, we use movement, we use some mantras as well. We also use sometimes playful activities where you engage the emotions, and then we give them a large variety of art materials which they can explore. And usually we guide them only a little bit, as much as required, but we allow their unique creativity and expression to come out, because we also want to explore this, what Shri Aurobindo says, that each each individual has a unique quality that they bring with them as a soul. And when you express in art also, we want to encourage that ability of each child and not copy or not be judged or not judge yourself, but be free in that expression that this is my unique expression. And whether or not this expression is up to the mark of a certain artist or not, but it is my expression. So for them to start beginning to also understand that my expression, it can be worked upon, it can get better, but I do not have to feel, I do not have to compare.
Yeah, so that non-judgmental part is a very important in all our classes. We never judge, we never put which is first, which is second. Children themselves do reflection and they, you know, and they decide which is the one which they like the most. But we don't at all judge, and we give that, you know, we try to also create a beauty environment that, you know, put a flower in the middle and little centering also. Always, if we don't have flower, let's say there was a time in during lockdown where I had no help and I had no time to do any flower arrangement at all. So I quickly used to tell my children while they were helping in the kitchen that, you know, you have masalas, let's just do some 5 minutes mandala from our masalas, what we have, you know, bay leaf, this bara elaichi, chota elaichi, and we'll just do something. And immediately moon changes, you know, there is a lot of delight in all the chores, you know, which usually takes up, you know, a lot of mood and who will do that and who will do that. There is a, you know, we always strive to bring that beauty element to all our classes and everything we do before the class. So if you all have, I'll just remind of the pen or pencil, paper, and also one coin or anything round. And I think you can start now. We'll
just do a short. So is everyone up to doing a short practice? How's everyone's lower backs doing? Okay, so I'll actually start with a short mantra, Sahana Bhavatu, and I think online we might not be able to chant together, but silently I think you can join me. So we can start. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, wonderful. You can open your eyes. So we are going to use our hands a little bit today when we draw the line. So let's just open our hands in front of us. Put our thumb inside. Close your fist. And we'll just do a few rotations as mindfully as you can and go to your maximum range of motion. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stiffen your fingers, open as if you're pushing a wall, and just keep them stiff, and then just relax, but keep them stiff, but bend them down. And then again, 1, 2, 1, 2. This time we'll close and open our fists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. Let's come to some shoulder shrugs. We use our shoulders and in fact abuse our shoulders a lot more. So let's go up. Inhale, up, hold. Exhale, down, pull them down and hold. Again, inhale, up. Hold and exhale, down and hold. Inhale, up and hold. Exhale, down and hold. Let's keep our fingers here and we'll do a short rotation of the shoulders. Let's do our full range of motion, which means you will have your own range. You know what is your max. We'll go up and full circle. 2, 3. Let's do the opposite side, backwards and forward. backwards and forwards, backwards and forward, and release. Let's move the neck. We'll move the neck from right to left this way. Exhale, go to your maximum range of motion, get a nice stretch here. Take your eyeballs also to the right. Inhale to the center, exhale to the left. Take your eyeballs also, so you work on the eyes simultaneously. Inhale, come to the center, exhale to the right. Inhale, center, exhale, left. So take maximum range of motion, which means you want to use till wherever you can go. This time we'll do this side movement to right. Exhale. So bend your neck to the right side like this. If you want, you can give it a little bit more push with your hand just to stretch more. Inhale, come into the center, exhale to the left. Inhale, center, exhale to the right. Inhale, center, exhale to the left. If you do not have a cervical problem or no other problem in neck, we'll do an up and down motion also. So this is in, stretch from your chin. Inhale. Exhale, press down the chin. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale one more time. Exhale. Okay, this time we'll do a simple movement of just raising your arms up. We'll coordinate it with the breath. So inhale, raise your arms up. Again, full range of motion. Inhale. And nicely stretch. If you can be slightly on the, come to the forward of your chair so you can arch back a little bit. Just arching back. Exhale, drop your arms. We'll do this 2 more times. Inhale and just arch back. So you are really filling your, stretching your chest, your abdominal area, your arms extended up. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Now we'll do a side movement. If whatever chair you are seated on, inhale, just bend to the side. If you can't hold the chair, no problems. Just go as much as you can to the right. Stretch, 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 stretch. Inhale, come into the center. Exhale, we go to the left. Stretch, stretch, stretch to the side. You feel a stretch on your chest. So we are working on the spine because the spine is the center of all the energy movement. Inhale, and to the opposite side. Very nice. This time, you'll all be sitting on a chair, hopefully, which has a back. So if I can have you turn and hold both sides of the back in whichever way you can. So we're getting a nice twist of the spine. Holding it nicely. Stay for a few breaths. Take deep breaths here. And observe what happens to your lungs and your abdominal as you're staying in a twist. So as deeply as you can inhale and exhale. After 2 or 3 breaths, come into the center. We'll go to the other side. So twisting to the other side. Observe while you're breathing. Also observe what happens to not only your abdominal, your chest, your breathing. What happens? Is the breath the same? Is one side better than the other? Nice. Come into the center. Now we'll do a forward bend. Wherever you are seated, your knees would be bent, your feet are on the floor. So if you do not have a lower back medical problem, you are okay to do this. So just inhale, raise your arms, and exhale. When we bend, we're just bending to have our chest nicely on our thighs. And inhale, we'll again sit up. Exhale, bend forward, getting your chest to your thigh. As much as is possible for you. Each one has their own unique disposition, physical. Okay, this time, let us see if we can sit like this. So have your right ankle over your left knee. Okay, so right ankle over left knee, just moving backwards. And we'll just take both our hands here and we will bend forward. If you can, stay down for a few breaths. And see what is happening. It's a simple movement done on your chair. Come up. And just change legs. So your left ankle will be on your right knee and bend forward. And come up. Okay. So if I can have request the videos to be on, and we'll do a bit of breathing now. So a little bit of breath work, again, to shed any excess energies that we are feeling, because we want to have the experience of, yoga and art. So what we'll do now is, we'll just have our hands here like this, and we will do a bit of rapid breathing. Inhale and exhale will be same length and same intensity. So we'll go like this. Keep your hands stiff, so you're just moving it. And relax. Take 2 or 3 deep breaths. Observe what changes happen at different levels when we do this rapid breathing. Observe what happens to your body, to your mind, to the thoughts, to the emotional state, to your 5 senses. Just take 2 or 3 breaths. We'll do this one more time, and this time we'll open and close our fists. As we do the same, it is inhale and exhale. It is the same intensity and same length for the inhale, and we are making it rapid. So we are going to go. Stiffen your fingers. And relax. Again, take a few deep breaths, long inhales, slow and long exhales, observing what is happening at different levels of yourself. What a simple change in breathing or breath work can do at the various levels of our being. And with a special observation or a special emphasis on how are you feeling with respect to concentration, focus, attention. And we'll just spend a few breaths now. In what we will do, we will observe the breath right at the nostril. The entry point of the breath into the nostrils is where we will just observe. We are going to observe the inhale and the exhale. Actually, we will not try to consciously breathe, but we will just observe the breath at the entry of the nostrils, where you will feel that the breath is entering our physical body and the breath is exiting our physical body. Just observing. The breath knows what to do. The breath will come and go on its own. At this point, we will open ourselves and we shall invoke the peace to descend into us from the top of the head. Call upon the peace. to enter us. And from the top of the head, right down to the tiniest toe, we want to invite, invoke, pray. Slowly, whenever you're ready, you can actually pick up your paper, pen, coin, and just follow the instructions that are being given.
So we have a baby ant, which after very nice yogic session, she was very calm and she climbed up very tall and straight tree. When she climbed very high, she looked down and now she had a lot of awareness. She noticed that the ants makes a special pattern on the ground where they walk. And there was one pattern that she particularly liked, and she traced down now. Now she had a very sharp awareness and focus, and she has traced down that path is actually her mother's path. And then as soon as she realized that, beautiful wind passed through and nice pebbles, flower pebbles and leaves fallen on that path. So what we'll try to do now, we hopefully will all found something round like a coin. We'll start in any corner of our page, we'll start and very slowly with a lot of concentration and focus, we'll try to follow the coin, because Ant realized that straight lines is very easy to do, but to do always round lines like mother's walk, it's very difficult. And she noticed that in nature, all lines are curvy. There is no straight lines. So she decided to follow the coin. But when following the coin, she did not press the coin. She just gently pushed it. And where the coin moved, that's where she moved her pencil. So can we all slowly, very, very slowly start walking? And if the coin twists, we just follow and twist together and see what happens. We'll do with a lot of concentration, very slowly. We'll do 2-3 lines. And then once we're happy with the lines, we can start with the same pencil. We'll start putting pebbles and little flowers on one of the paths, which will be the mother's path. So one of the paths will later on enhance, whichever we like the most, will enhance, we make it more beautiful, we color it with we enhance that line, and we'll put the pebbles. Right now, just focus. Don't push the coin, just allow it to move and move behind. That will be the footpath of her mother. We'll make from one end, another end, make from different ends of the page. Move with the same concentration, maybe even more. Maybe next footpath will be even more concentrated, and maybe it will have more lines. And the slowlier you move, you'll find the coin moves in very, very interesting patterns. once we have few lines on our page, then we will decorate one of the paths which we like the most. We'll just decorate with some pebbles and lines and dots and different things which we like. And there is no right or wrong. Everything is welcome here. There is a lot of different shapes in nature. So any shape, any stick, or anything that you like, any pattern that you like can be decorated on this footpath. And if you don't want to decorate full footpath, it could be just 2-3 lines, or it could be 2-3 dots, or anything else that you feel like putting in your mother's footpath. There is no right or wrong, but we can all decorate anyhow we like. Another 2 minutes, try to decorate your footpath as much as you can. Give it nice, brighter line, standout line. And then we will try to have a short reflection, just as we do in our yoga art sessions. If anyone is done, welcome to share your experience. How did you find your concentration during this coin, following the coin? Or was it something difficult to do? Or did it come naturally? And we can also have everyone drawing, seeing how the footpaths come up here. Monica, you can show those. Where the coin took us. Okay, 1 second. This is ours. This is ours. Anyone else? If we have, yeah. Oh, how wonderful. Beautiful. Nice symbols are coming up.
You can see Mother Nature with
Yes.
the symbol.
Wonderful. So would you like to share? Yeah, more is come beautiful. How nice. Very nice. Wow, some ant was really busy. Arpan.
So, no, I just put the coin and trying to follow that it should be on the edge, but I have to be fully concentration that it is not going out. I'm not losing connection. And when I started putting something flowers, then I realized, oh, where is the logo of Sri Aurobindo and Mother? If the road is without the spiritual power, I cannot walk in my life.
Beautiful. Beautiful. How are your symbols? Are you happy with your symbols, with your designs of
no, because I forgot to, because when you write mother symbol, there is a, I forgot, totally how many lines should be there within. But okay, my heart is clear. I can see mother over here, Fine. She ignores me. Shailesh, don't worry.
Can you just put up your paper? Just I didn't see it properly. Yeah.
Lines inside there are 4 powers. So inside there is a 4 and outside is 12. I think it's a little less, but you can always add. Inside is 12 inside mother symbol. So it made you aware. The exercise is not made you only enjoy the concentration, but perhaps made you aware of the symbol. Now, next time you'll notice definitely how many.
No, I know about it. But, I just forgot, okay, because I always write on my notebook or, anything on the, mothers and Sri Aurobindo symbol, and below that I write, all can be done if the mothers, if the God touches that.
How wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
So if you would like, we can have a 5-minute reflection. Beluji, do we have time?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, please go ahead.
If you would like to, anybody would like to share anything, a reflection. What did you feel? What did you discover?
Did it change your concentration perception, perhaps? Was it a tool that you could use? And the gateway, our yoga gateway, did it help you? Did it channel? We don't have any flower arrangement here like we normally do. We have some arrangement or some backdrop, but the yoga was there.
I could reflect on this, that, after doing the exercise and, then I realized that, the concentration is on the object which I want to do it, So, rather than going my mind here and there, it was a completely concentration. Okay, how do I make it the best, How can I see the divine in this? Because all life is work.
Thank you.
Is there anyone more? If there is no, then we share our video.
Yeah, actually, we'd like to share a video. I think Beluji, we should be able to do it. I have managed to download it. So
yes.
Just, I'll just share screen. And,
just make sure that you have the sound on when you share sound.
I'm going to the desktop.
Okay, hang on. I'm just going to stop share this first. I will just close this. Yeah, now I think we should be able to. No, not this.
Share screen.
Stop. What's happening?
You can share now. You click on this. Hopefully the sound. Are we able to see? The sound is there.
Yeah, so thank you for that.
I hope you
Yeah,
enjoyed
just-
take something away from us, from our work and our passion.
Yes, so just like morning tea, make yoga and art your everyday need. I like that. That's your motto or slogan for your
It came out
yoga
this
art?
morning. It got polished this morning, actually, while we were talking. It was before, yeah. Yeah, something similar, but that's what we thought about it this morning.
But it's so interesting how this all came about during the time where, you know, so much was wrong with the world and yet so much beauty was being created. So much good came out of that. So
Yes, and my daughter, if you see my daughter's exercise now, people think she's a proper gymnast because she actually is really into gymnastics now. I mean, it does not look like the child who never exercised and who stayed in one place for a long time. It really changed. Same as Monica's daughters. They're also drawing a lot now. So we just share these gifts.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I think we, just in the interest of time, I think we'll move on to, thank you so much, Monica and Raie, for sharing. But we'll move on to Ram and Narendra ji, if you can just quickly introduce Ram. And then we'll have hopefully 10-15 minutes for some question answers.
Yeah, I'm happy to introduce Ram, who is a member of our team, Renaissance team. Raamkumar is a young aspirant on the path of integral yoga and a member of the Renaissance Journal team, working as a research and editorial assistant since November 2021. On the verge of completing his PhD in engineering at IIT Madras, he discovered his purpose in creating spaces for finding joy in work, self-acceptance, and self-transformation. He has curated, facilitated collective practice sessions in areas of deep focus, developing concentration, conscious sleep, and relaxation, and more. He is also a volunteer at Auroville. His experimentation with different ways to accomplish the work goals without feeling work as a burden helped him taste the joy and fulfillment in work and concentration. This led him to design and offer a course titled Deep Focus Circle, meant to practice concentration at work. He has been facilitating this since November 2021. Over to you, Ram.
Thank you, Narendra. So, yeah, I think before I talk, there has been an enriching sharing and exercise. Maybe can we have a 30-second silence so that we can come into this? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so I'm here to share basically my experiences with concentration and also my experiences as a facilitator for the Deep Focus Circle, where participants who are struggling to accomplish their daily work goals join. And so I like to start with this reflection of mine. I was just thinking what I have to share here, and then for me, attention is a precursor for concentration, and I feel that the world is revolving around how do I grab the attention, in this conception-oriented world. So I was feeling like Mother has told that money is in the hands of Asura and it has to be reclaimed. And it feels like attention is also in the hands of Ashura now. Now that has to be reclaimed by us to put into divine use. So with that reflection, my journey with concentration started when I was struggling to do my PhD. And then I was observing how there are many other people around me also having such challenges. So I thought, okay, let me just create a space where we all come together and then do the work, with the help of accountability. And then it all started when one of my friends offered me a session, and then I joined, where when the session started, I just need to put an intention that for next 30 minutes or 1 hour, whichever duration of time I'm going to work, I'm going to concentrate only on this task. So it was a 50-minute session. And then he told, okay, let's put this intention. I put that intention. And then for next 50 minutes, I was working with that. I got really astonished at the end of the session, how the simple intention of when it is strong, that I'm going to work only on this for next 50 minutes. That's really creating a huge difference and sometimes even a magic. So that was the inspiration for me to take this work to, in a structured form to other people also. And for now, how it happens is I'm sharing the structure of the course, but it can be practiced by any of us in any way. So basically, there are 2 slots every day. So morning 2 hours and afternoon 1.5 hours. And these hours we allot for doing this work, and which is like course time. And sometimes this slots become like just the work slot, because, for example, when I go to my hometown, I'm just in a relaxing space, but still there is some work. So only these hours I keep it for work. So when this slot starts, I just come and then just do my work. And once the slot is over, I just go back to my relaxing mode. And the other level is there are sometimes projects which are sometimes projects or work which has some energetic inertia, like what Dr. Shraddha was referring, and even Arpan was referring, like how sometimes, it goes into that, mind goes into that and puts a tag like boring task like that. So this somehow develops an inertia, and it becomes somewhat difficult to progress in such projects and tasks. So when the slot starts, what we do is we just put that intention that during this entire 2 hours, we are going to work on this and not anything else. So that is another level, because when there is an accountability, the sincerity comes naturally, and then it helps in holding that space for the progress in that project. And another level of this approach is, deep focus approach is, like the days are usually filled for many of us with shallow tasks like answering calls and replying to emails and then meeting someone like that. And then always what happens is, for many of us, the task which require deep concentration, creativity or deep concentration gets procrastinated, and it just moves towards the deadline. So this space becomes a holder or like a container where once I enter the session, I just take up this task which requires deep concentration. I'm not going to focus on any other task. And how we do is we keep our cameras on, when we are in that space, and which brings in more sincerity. And of course, this is not like people to feel guilty or like that. This is just for themselves to feel accountable, because when there is an external accountability, there there is an extra energy and nudging rather than doing it alone. So, and we also practice at the end of the session how to accept whatever we were able to accomplish, even if the outcome was not up to what we expected. And then how do we appreciate the efforts that we took during the session, and also how to not deter in the enthusiasm we have towards progressing in this task. And also we take a moment to express gratitude, because the work that we did for 1 hour, we were able to do it because of different people, because of different things that were helpful in accomplishment. So it's like an organic and wholesome experience, not just focusing on the one goal, and also not just focusing on productivity. And many times this also helps people being very creative, and I have received feedback from participants that they were able to be creative. And then even for me personally, many times I just put a constraint that within half an hour I'm going to complete this design, and then things work like a magic sometimes, and many times this design is more beautiful than how I would just sit normally without thinking, like it is a deep focus, and I just keep changing the design in the name of improving, and it just goes endless. But when there's a creative constraint, it also helps me, come up with a better design than the usual times. And yeah, I mean, interest of time, I will close here. But these are the experiences I had as a participant and also as the facilitator. And I'm sharing here because we can practice this individually also. Like we can start with okay, I'm just going to do this task for next 20 minutes, and then because 20 minutes is a minimum time that is required for mind to concentrate on one task, and maximum can be anything based on one's practice. So next 20 minutes I'm not going to do anything else but only this, and then I just keep my phone in silent mode. I'm not going to open my WhatsApp, I'm not going to open my mailbox. So just that kind of intention, starting with 20 minutes, and then once you experience that, it becomes an inspiration rather than listening to others' experiences. Because I have been even to, I have even gathered experiences like where I was totally tired, but once I enter that zone of deep focus or the flow, or what we call as flow or deep work, these are the terminologies that are scientifically termed for that. So once I enter that zone, sometimes I have even felt energized. Once I close the session, I felt more energized than how I entered the tired body. And then sometimes I also lose track of time, and after having practiced this for a long time, like more than 1.5 years now, I realized that whenever I enter into concentration and then I come out of it, like what something Arpan also touched upon, many times it gives me a sense of purpose. I feel like, okay, my life is purposeful. I feel that meaning. And it doesn't matter what work I do, but just that being in that, in that space, being in that zone, gives me some unexplainable joy. So it doesn't matter whether I submit the project within the deadline. Sometimes I just go overdue. So all those things are there, the challenges are there, but still it's like some high, some spiritual high, I would say, some healthy high. So and it gives meaning to work. It gives meaning to life. Those are the. I mean, it starts with productivity, which is the like a normal materialistic goal, but it even goes to these zones, the higher zones. So yeah, thanks for this opportunity for sharing.
Thank you. And I can vouch for one thing, Ram, because when Ram started, he was really struggling with his PhD work. So now he's just about to complete. So certainly it has worked. And you see, you look happy when you talk about your PhD, which was not 1.5 years back. So thank you. So let's just open it for any questions, comments on any of the, whatever has been shared since we started. So if anybody has any comments, questions, some points to add to what they wanted to share, please just unmute yourself.
May I ask and add something? I'm Shailesh here.
Yes, please go ahead.
No, one thing I have observed that I have personally experienced, but I just want to know that is there any relationship between concentration, progress, and interest? That is one part of it. Because if you like something, you give full concentration, and if you don't like it, the concentration, you lose the concentration. That is one part of it. Secondly, again, my personal experience, I get up early in the morning at 4 o'clock. The problem while writing paper or doing any analysis, statistical analysis, the whole day I spend sometimes, but when I get up early in the morning, I start at 4 o'clock after my prayer, I immediately resolve the issues, even though, it takes only 5 minutes, but in the daytime, it takes number of hours. So whether it's an atmosphere effect or a spiritual environment around me or what, I don't know. But this is personally I've experienced, and whatever I have progressed and due to the concentration in the morning. And the third part is, I completely agree, no questions. If you are doing yoga, you become healthy, then you can take up any challenge and you can concentrate. That is what, no doubt about it. One of the CEOs was telling me, if your health is good, you can take up any challenge. So, that's the thing, health aspect, I completely agree. But I just want to know the connection between concentration, progress, and interest and the time.
So whoever would like to take it up, please.
So I can do on interest. Definitely interest is very important, because as soon as you give some new material, let's say some new material that the child or even adult never touched, and just by touching it, the interest develops very often. And then when interest develops, you can't stop it. It's just natural, like side effect. Your concentration happens because you are creating something new. You get, you enter to that gateway. First you touch, and as soon as your hand, there is some kind of connection and neurological in our brain also happens, and it's not only therapeutic, but you cannot stop it. It just pulls you in also. So that's definitely your interest develops, and that's why. And on the timing, I think Monica can say.
Yeah,
so
please.
I think generally in any yogic practice, I think even Mother and Shraddha have mentioned that generally in the morning, that Brahma Muhurat time, it's when the earth energies are also most aligned for you to be in that state. So that time is actually very auspicious. At the same time, it is very special time. And not only from your energies point of view, but from the energies around. At the same time, a very practical reason also, that the rest of the world has not really woken up, and the activity and the humdrum, the noises, the bells ringing, the phones ringing, the messages coming, the emails. That is a very practical, superficial way. But from a deeper perspective, that energy is most conducive to any concentrated work, from even if it is spiritual work or even just work that you want to do where you want to be sitting in a focused way. So that time definitely is special. And if that has helped you in the past and you continue to do it in the future, it will help you even in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think in our journal also, and I've put few links here. There is one selection that we have made from some of Mother's passages where she addresses this very question about interest. So whatever is of interest to the person, naturally it's easier to focus our energies on that. But from a yoga point of view, from a yogic point of view, we also need to develop the same kind of concentration and focus on things that are not to our preference. And I think this is where I will go back to what Dr. Arpan, you were talking about, likes and dislikes, the Rag Dvesh aspect. So some transcendence, that's part of the yoga. How we take whatever we are doing in our life and do it in a yogic way to progress. So that's another meaning of the progress, right? So progress inwardly through all the outer works. So that's how I will add to that. I don't know, Dr. Arpan, if you wanted to add something to it.
The morning time, it naturally provides for stability. So there are two things. One is stability and the other thing is stillness. Anytime when you want to apply yourself, stillness is a prerequisite, but it's a very difficult prerequisite to achieve. So we are, for the most part, struggling to just achieve stability, that, that stable presence where we can go either inwards or outwards, whichever. That morning time affords us that extant or present stability, which then further propels us towards stillness. And it works for some people, whereas some people just cannot wake up that early, and for them it is in the night when the world goes to sleep they work. From my point of view, if I talk about the Vairagya point of view, then it doesn't matter what time of the day or night is, as long as you are able to rest yourself enough, put yourself to ease, stabilize yourself, journey towards stillness, you should be able to achieve that level of mindfulness or awareness where these problems, the knots of the yesterday, they just unravel themselves. And interest is something, the attachment, it is something so important to bring stability to your thought. Without interest, there is no stability. But then that very same interest and attachment is a double-edged sword, because if you develop too much interest and attachment, then it also backfires and we become obsessed, and we think that the object or the whatever that you are dedicating your interest to is the only thing that's the best in the world. So there is a very thin line, and we have to be mindful not to cross that. Otherwise, something that helps us stabilize completely destabilizes us and derails us. So if something works for you, that's great. But again, the liking for the light and the dislike for the night, which are both created by the same entity, force, energy, I don't, at this point of in my current understanding, and it may evolve, it may change, but I don't have a liking for the light and a disliking for the dark. They are both there. I do what I have to do, they do what they have to do.
There's one more point I think, Shailesh ji, you brought up about interest, which reminds me of Shraddha, what you have written in your reflection based on your experience. I hope you're still there to share a little bit about that. One of the things she mentioned in her article in the journal is about how how an educator can develop interest in students for whatever it is that they have to learn in that class. So even if, say, English literature is not something some students like, how can a teacher develop interest? And so she's talked about, I don't know, Shraddha, if you are here, if you can talk about that yourself, like, through going deeper into the topic, right? That part I really liked in your analysis or your reflection. So maybe you can share a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually this, I have found that this interest can be evoked for anything among the students, because they have their own preferences, their likes and dislikes. So I shared a little example about some kind of practices which I take in the class. For example, when any kind of chapter, when I take and it is completed, after the completion of the chapter, I play a little game with my students, and the game is named Aapki Adalat Mein. And you must have seen that show on the TV. So I named it in the same manner. And I feel that the students, if they search for the answers on their own for any kind of questions which come up, then it helps them to create that interest in the topic. So in that Aapki Adalat mein, either I participate or I am just an observer, and the students, they play it among themselves, but only those students get a chance who were concentrating totally in the class and who were into that topic. So, and then they sit and they ask questions related to the chapter, and one among them answers. So one who is inside that particular place, like who is answerable, that person answers all the questions, and that person is the student who concentrated most in the class. So everyone wants to be answerable, you know, at this age, they want to answer the question. They have this zeal. So this is one of the ways in which I try to create interest in the students. Basically, for this age group, they have diversified interests, and the thing that attracts them are many. But then if we want them to focus on a particular thing, there are some ways which needs to be found, and it varies from person to person. Each individual can have their own way. So this is what I wrote over there. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Ram, please, you were.
Can also add something. Firstly, it's a tricky question. I'm happy that you asked this question. Because that's very essential in the journey of concentration. Because concentration mostly it relates to work in the everyday life, and when the work is of not interest, no interest, like, I mean, it's not resonating with me. So what can I do? So I think the individual themselves has to only answer. But there can be a possibility that some work does not resonate, but I still am mulling over it, you know, trying to just break through. But probably it's not resonating and I may have to drop it. So that possibility is also there. But so that's where the discretion is needed, whether I have to persevere or should I drop it. And if the individual decides that no, it resonates, but it's just a struggle with the concentration, then the approach I would suggest is, which we are already practicing, myself and the participants in this space, are take up something small, because many times the first hindrance is goal setting. So am I setting the realistic goal, you know, for half an hour? Am I setting a goal that is possible to be achieved within half an hour? And once I do that, then I appreciate the efforts. And if in case I'm not able to achieve it, then I try to accept that, but also not to lose the energy. Because in this journey, any habit, developing any habit or changing any habit, I feel appreciation is enough, because many times we don't take enough time to appreciate ourselves for the efforts that we have put in. Because the mind has a tendency, you know, it's coming from aspiration, it's good, but it has a tendency to look things that are yet to be achieved, but not sufficiently see and then appreciate what are the things that are achieved. So even within the half an hour, if I did the work, what can be done by 15 minutes, still I appreciate that. Because if I don't appreciate, what happens is, in my personal experiences, it just gives me a feeling of failure, and then it affects my self-worth. Oh, I keep failing. Then it touches my emotions. So this is how it just percolates into different things. But that small step of appreciation, it gives a positive feeling. And then when I also, you know, bring in the gratitude, okay, I was able to achieve this within the 15 minutes, even though I was not able to achieve the other 15-minute work, then that's where I bring in that perseverance to not, you know, lose that energy to complete that 15 minutes in the next 30 minutes slot I take. So like going step by step. And one important thing when we try to concentrate, because when I say that we do the sessions, it's not easy during the session, because I don't want to explain much, but one simple thing is, mind obviously goes into different things, but one practice that we try to follow, and I suggest for all the participants and I suggest for myself, is it's not about how many times, like, I take this work and I want to complete in 10 minutes. It's not about how many times I get carried away by other thoughts. But what is important is how quickly, once I realize that my mind is into another thought, I come back to this work. So it's like, you know, we have seen this some toy in front of the cars, you know, they have the spring. It's like it goes like this, go like this, but ultimately it will stay anchored. So it doesn't matter how many times I go like this, my mind goes like this, but how quickly come back to that and then just focus on this. Okay, I lost this. No, I got carried away with this trail of thoughts, but now I am aware. Now let me focus on this, and without the feeling of the failure. So yeah, but the basic discretion is important. whether I have to pursue it to go forward in this project, or is it a project that that has to be dropped? That discretion the individual has to decide. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please go ahead, Dr. Arpan.
So I did some work, especially when students are concerned and teachers. One of the biggest problems all over the globe is that students don't pay attention. And I was doing some trainings for the education directorate of the state of New Delhi in their state council. And one of the things I shared over there is that we are living in an age where our attention span has increased substantially, because every day there are millions of people that are sacrificing their sleep and giving attention to the things on their mobile phones and Netflix for hours at a stretch. So our ability to pay attention, to concentrate on the content in front has actually increased many folds, if you actually look at it, or if you look at the data points from the other side of the mountain. So we need to be mindful of that. Our ability to make them curious and engage is something that is, what needs to be talked about. Also, concentration. Earlier, people were desiring and they desired the moksha. And that is why they concentrated on activities that led them towards the moksha or enlightenment, or whatever you refer to it as that. Now, there is a drop in our consciousness, and we are desirous of a better position, a job, more money. And that is why our concentrations are diverted in those things which, it's not the problem of concentration, but despite paying concentration, we don't derive any fulfillment, and that reward is not enough to sustain us. So I very firmly, and I say this with a lot of humility, but I firmly believe that concentration and attention are very much there. It is just that what we desire, what we interest has sort of shifted, and we need to come back, because people are giving up their sleep, and it is such a dear thing, but people are giving up their sleep. They wake up at 2 a.m. and then the next time they look at the watch, it is 6 a.m. and they've been watching those reels or the Netflix series, the binging on that. We only wish that they were so committed and dedicated to something, which is in our preference, which is more spirituality, better lifestyle, balanced lifestyle. But again, that could be our rag, our liking towards it, and that could be their maryada, that they are not thinking in the direction of moksha. So I will pause at that, and I will not say anything more, because otherwise this will just get prolonged.
Yes, no, but thank you for bringing that up, because I've just shared a wonderful article on this very thing written by Narendra Ji, who's been here with us. And one of the points I told him that was so interesting in his when he submitted the article was something that I find very relevant in the way Sri Aurobindo describes in his essays on the Gita, that particular part of Bhagavad Gita where Sri Krishna speaks about concentration, not just in the way we do things, but also concentration on the goal, having that goal. So what we are concentrating on. And I'll invite Narendraji maybe to share a little bit about that. But before that, maybe Monica has been raising her hands for a long time. So Monica, you want to go ahead?
I just wanted to say that perhaps this is a very important webinar we are having. And I think perhaps we are the last generation who actually can distinguish between our attention going to Netflix, and that is not useful for us, and it's not our goal. It's not our goal that to be entertained. It is actually where we have to. The job to do here is to teach the children what comes to us naturally. We have not been brought up in that environment where there is so much distraction. First, we have to say no to the distractions and understand that our attention is getting stolen. Netflix and all reels, they still our attention. Children doesn't even realize that. Children just wake up. You can give them phone and they don't know when to stop. We know when to stop, because we actually been brought up in different age. So, and smartphones comes later, Netflix came just now. So I think we are doing very, as a role, our role is to be it's very important role to teach them to distinguish, to have that awareness that, yes, I gone off, I watched that Netflix, but that is, it's a time stiller for me, and that's not supposed to be happening, or I'll not do it again. Basically, that awareness and that, that access to that logic, to that understanding. Perhaps we are could be the last generation to have that. I don't know if our new future generations will have that distinguish if we don't focus on that, bringing back concentration to education level.
And I have one funny question for Dr. Arpan, since he started with his 25 students. Did any of your students actually make the giraffe?
They all made giraffes, but they all look like dinosaurs and animals that have never been invented.
So you mean to say, so they actually use their creative abilities
to the fullest.
Yeah. I mean, some of them were quite accurate, but the giraffe was just something to, and the
From
object was
another
the least important. It was the journey within. And the 30 patches was just to give them some skill that they are so confident about, and see how when the concentration moves somewhere else, you just completely lose it, no matter how basic it is. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Narendra ji, do you want to bring us home?
Yeah, I would like to add a
reminder.
Apart from what you mentioned, that sloka from the Gita, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Rekha. That is, I'll come to that. But before that, I would like to say a few points about what Dr. Arpan just said about this consumption of audiovisual content, staying awake nights and watching movies and all that. Let me tell you that different activities require different levels of concentration. If I'm watching audiovisual content, whether it's a movie or a music video or whatever, the concentration that is required to watch that, to follow each and every dialogue and all that, whatever is required, compared to that, an activity like study. Suppose you are reading a novel. What you have to do is not only you have to follow what the plot is all about, you have to create in your mind the world that the author is talking about. So reading is a much more, an activity that requires much more concentration, because you're reading and creating that imaginary world in your mind to follow that story. That requires a very high level of concentration compared to just watching a movie. The mind is at a much more comparatively, it's in a passive state compared to a state like reading. Reading requires much more concentration, because you have to create that mental world in your mind through your imagination. And I'm talking about fiction. But when you are talking about, works like Sri Aurobindo's writings and mother's writings, or even say some scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, that there again, the concentration is much more than what you require to study, to follow a novel. Because there you have to go into the abstract, philo concepts and all that. So again, that is another level of concentration. So my point is, all activities do not require the same level of concentration. There are grades of concentration. And just because I'm watching 3 hours of movies on Netflix or whatever, doesn't mean that I'm focused and concentrated, because the level of concentration, the grade, is low, it's low grade. That concentration is low grade, because your brain is, you're in a passive state. You just have to sit and watch. And some dialogues are coming, not much of activities involved, brain activity. That is one part. About this interesting, having the ability to concentrate on things which interest you, that comes naturally. So I suppose I love music. Concentration will come naturally. But suppose I have to do mathematics, concentration won't come. So point is, we have to develop a certain level of detachment. Like you were saying, Raga Dvesha. We really have to rise to a level above Raga Dvesha. I can't concentrate on something which I don't like. And I can easily concentrate on something which I like. That is natural. So actually having the ability of concentration means I'm not affected by my likes and dislikes. I can execute a job that is expected of me, irrespective of whether I like it or not. So here comes yoga, that level of detachment, samatha, what in the Gita it's called samatha. So if you have that, suppose I'm working in an office, I'm in the accounts department and all that, I have to prepare a balance sheet. That hardly interests me, but I have to do that. I have to meet a deadline. And that has to be perfect. There can't be mistakes there. So concentration is required there. And if it's writing a musical note or composition, I do it nicely because that's my area of love and interest. So we have to rise above that interest thing. We have to rise above that. Otherwise, it's very, somebody loves something, he can concentrate, that's nothing great about it. So we have to rise above this raga dvesha thing and develop the ability to concentrate. And there's one more thing, which is a prerequisite to concentration, which the speakers today have not touched about that. That is withdrawal. If you follow Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, he says before dharana, he uses the word dharana for concentration. Prerequisite is pratyahara. So unless you are withdrawn from other things, concentration is not possible. It's a sequence, withdrawal and then concentration. But now what we are doing is we are doing multitasking. We are doing several things together. I'm doing this, mobile phone is on, the message is coming, I'm seeing that, answering that, again I'm coming back here, someone is calling, all that. You have to simply cut yourself out from the external stimuli. Only then concentration is possible. Pratyahara is a prerequisite for concentration. That is one. And this cycle of time, I want to add about something about that. This morning, it's very suitable for concentration and all that. There's a reason for it, actually. Though I agree with Dr. Yagnik that there are some people who are night people, night owls, what we call them, night owls and early birds, and we make those categorizations. I absolutely agree with him. There are people who do their work at night. But by and large, what our Brahma Muhurta, we were talking about Brahma Muhurta, actually our body, the gunas have their cycles. Why is the morning time, Brahma Muhurta and all that is so suitable? Because the Sattva Guna is in the ascendancy in the morning and early morning and morning hours. So as the sun comes up, this is linked to the cycle of the sun, you know. As the sun comes up, Rajas slowly becomes, as Rajas comes in the ascendancy and Sattva wanes. So we are at the peak of our physical and I would say physical activity between say 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. That is when the sun is in the ascendancy. So then the Rajas is at its peak, and you put in your peak performance, whether it's office work or teaching. You will find those who are in the teaching profession, they will agree that the best classes they have, it's between that. And after 1 p.m. or so, slowly the energy levels, they start depleting. Around 3-4, we feel sleepy, we need a cup of coffee or a few smokes and whatever. So that's how it works. And after, of course, after sunset and all, slowly the body is slowly winding down, tamas takes over. And finally, sleep is required. Sleep is tamas. So this cycle of Sattva, Raja and Tamas is related to that, early morning being conducive to, because Sattva is in the ascendancy. That is one of the reasons. And about that Bhagavad Gita sloka, the thing is, it's that only, that mind is fragmented. The sloka says, the person who is not having a firm resolve, his mind is fragmented. He's not having a single purpose. He has a whole lot of things in his mind. He's not focused on anything. So Bahushakha, that is the word that is used there. A person without resolute will, his mind is many branched. So that is what Krishna talks about, focus. Buddhi rekeha, vyavasaya is endeavor, and buddhi rekeha, buddhi should be one, single point. That is what the sloka is all about. Focus. So that's all I had to add. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I think this throughout our deliberations, this point has come up in various ways about setting the intention, single pointedness, whatever it is, that whether it is for the short time, as Ram was talking about, for that 2 hours, 1 hour, 20 minutes, whatever, or for our lifetime, or the way, I think Raie and Monica were talking about starting with the intention, or, the way Dr. Arpan described, or Dr. Shraddha described with her students, how she works. So I think in so many different ways, we are coming to that same realization, or that same conclusion, if you will. But it's been really interesting to listen to diverse viewpoints or diverse ways of looking at the problem that is of concern to all. Because as Mother reminds us, without concentration, you cannot achieve anything. Forget the goal of enlightenment or moksha or any spiritual liberation. Even to get our work done, as Ram brought it so nicely to, finishing his PhD or anything, to finish a kindergarten, or whatever grade we are in. So it's really an important topic. And I think I have to, in the interest of time, close our deliberations and discussions here. We could go on probably for another hour, but that wouldn't be fair, because other endeavors, other vyavasai also demand our time. And so we have to go and concentrate, whether it's cooking or for Arpan to get ready for teaching students to make more giraffes, or whatever you have to do for rest of the day. So I want to thank each one of you for joining us in this, exploration of concentration, and how through concentration we can gradually progress in whatever goals or intentions we set up for ourselves. And I will, just, if we can just for maybe 10-15 seconds, just sit in silence and allow all this to be assimilated within in a concentrated way, and to offer it to whoever we think is the higher source, offer it to the Mother, as we say, and then we can leave, and I'll close the session. Thank you so much. So we'll just sit in silence for maybe 30 seconds and concentrate and offer it.